Welcome everyone. We're here with Steve and Rob at Poons Head Studio, Fremantle, Perth, Western Australia. And we're here to talk about Steve Tallis's new release. It was recorded here at Poons Head with Rob. These two have known each other for quite a while and have an ongoing relationship. They're both troublemakers, I can assure you. So we'll start by asking Steve about his choice to record here. Steve.
Well, I mainly chose here because Rob was so enthusiastic, and after
absolutely, I'm still enthusiastic.
He was very enthusiastic about doing it. I talked to a few different people, and at one stage I was even contemplating doing just a Zoom recording in my lounge room. You know, just I don't know. It came across as an idea, you know.
Yep.
But then Rob contacted me a few times and said he wanted to do something, you know.
So what was the idea? What was the idea for the record? What was the premise behind it, and what were you hoping to sort of achieve?
The
with
premise was just to come in and play like just lots and lots of songs. We recorded 39 songs. The night we recorded, we cut 39 tracks. Some two versions, like one with the 12 string and one with the electric. You know, so some songs with a there was about. Well, it's only about 4, maybe double up like that, 5 maybe.
And did you so alternate takes of the same song?
No, not well. We did a couple, but not really. Most of it was first, and we did a little bit of editing, didn't we? You know, on a make the songs a little bit shorter, more things like that. Because I wanted to. Because the original idea was to put it as a double CD and release everything from the session.
Right.
And then I really sort of started to think that it's better to put out one album and pick the best performances. And that's what I did basically. Whether it was an original or a traditional or a holo, it wasn't. I looked at it as to pick the best maximum amount of time that I could put on a CD from the best performances. And I reckon I chose the right. You know, I'm going to put the unreleased stuff on YouTube. I put it up there so people can hear it.
Yep.
Because some of the stuff's good, but it's just not as good as the other stuff.
So, how long had you been writing for this record? Is it the period immediately prior to recording the album that was dedicated to writing, or was it for stuff from,
various?
Previous?
Well, probably the last 5 years, I guess. Mainly in Paris, I reckon, and where I live now, I wrote a lot of songs, and I wrote 2 or 3 just days before the session, and some of the stuff I didn't actually have anything written down, and I ended up doing it just because I felt good about the rhythm, you know. And since I did the recording and I'm playing those songs live, I was before the virus, you know, they've gone on to another level. You know, a couple of them I included on the album because the performance was good, even though the lyrics are not as good as they are now. I've added more lyrics, you know. What I did that night on a couple was just sing off the top of my head, so I had nothing actually written down. So.
Yeah, right. So, Rob, did you? What was your role in the whole the process? Were you obviously Steve talked to you, and as I mentioned in the intro, you guys have a long-standing relationship and are obviously comfortable working.
Well,
with
we
each
have
other.
a respect for each other. I think that's the word that defines it too. You know. And that was very important for me to. Sorry for interrupting there, but you know, it was very important for me to choose someone that I felt could record what I wanted to do. You know, we talked about
with empathy and with.
You know, I told Rob what I had in mind. Originally, I was going to be using both acoustics, but we ran out of time. You know, so I only ended up using the SG and the 12 string. But I'm quite happy with that. You know, really. So it was just I just felt Rob was going to pull something out because he had such good ears, and I felt really good in the room, you know.
It's a wonderful place to record. We were talking earlier. I was lucky enough to record here a long time ago.
Well, the room
and the main room is nuts.
Fantastic room to record, like the ambience.
And I know how to crack a joke.
Yeah, you do crack jokes, mate.
I know how to crack a joke.
Anyway, you better get back to answering Phil's question, mate. Sorry about interrupting there.
Yeah, so your part in the process, Rob?
Sorry?
Can you talk about your part in the process of recording?
Good fun.
Did you, when Steve started
Steve
talking
just
to
wants
you?
to go for it, and that sounds like fun, so we go for it.
We had a lot of fun.
And
Yeah.
when Steve started talking to you about the project, did you automatically start thinking about ways to record him and what you would want from the session, or not really?
You got your favourite ways, and it's important whether he's standing up or sitting down.
Sure.
What did you do? You stood up.
Stood up,
Stood up.
And
So,
we had the Vox amp for the
fun.
electric in the hallway.
Yep.
And you had about 5 mics on it or something.
I usually put a few out, probably not quite that many, but I had 5 mics on the acoustic and your voice.
Yeah, the acoustic was incredible.
What kind of mics were you using,
Yeah, it was
Rob?
good.
For
It was
the
good sound,
tech
it was good
heads
fun.
listening,
Yeah, the
what kind of
12
mics were you
incredible.
using?
I was using some fucking nice mics.
I have no
He's
doubt.
not going to
about
give away his secrets.
What kind of
mate.
mics?
Oh, no,
Fucking nice mics.
Like try a 1954 Neumann Tube KM54.
That'll do it.
On the 12th fret for the acoustic.
That's right.
Which
Yeah,
has got
good
a
thing.
very
right up
unusual
there.
sound and beautiful for acoustics because it's got a nickel diaphragm. So superb microphone. So and then probably on his vocal, of course, we had a U47.
Yeah, beautiful vocal.
Yeah,
sound.
vocal mic. So
Very
the whole
good.
thing has to be built around, when you do it live, you've got to be built around that vocal sound,
Yeah,
and the
because-
spill has to work with the
So
other
Steve
stuff.
because
recorded the
the-
vocals at the same time as the guitar?
Yeah, there's
I
no
always do that,
overdubs. It was
mate.
all live.
Everything's live, you know. But
Yeah,
I
it was
can't-
all live. It
I
was,
can't do that.
I mean,
We just went from song to song. Half
We
the
turned
time.
the
I mean,
acoustic
some
turned
songs
into
I
an
never
electric
even
guitar.
heard back the recording. Some I just felt, oh yeah, that's cool. So
You're
just
wearing
moved-
those pants
So
at
I
the
moved
time?
on to the next.
No, they were
I
different
wasn't.
pants.
I moved on to the next.
I
song.
was wearing those
because the whole
pants.
point. What I wanted to do is I wanted to record as many songs as possible and there was room for, just use the whole session to record.
Yep.
One session to record as much as possible.
And you
Then-
recorded and mixed it in mono,
No.
is that correct?
Yeah, it's mixed in mono.
Yeah, right. What was the decision?
I just
what
like
was the thought
mono.
behind that?
I listen to most of my music in mono. I always have. I prefer mono. Maybe I'm just brought up with mono.
Do you have
and
thoughts on that, Rob?
I just.
fun.
There's very little,
What a fun thing to do.
apart from Jimi Hendrix, in my opinion. There's very few people that use stereo in such a way where it does add something to the music. But I'm quite happy to listen to Hendrix in mono. I just like mono. And it's guitar and voice. I didn't want the voice
One of
on.
the things
I
that
didn't
was-
want the voice on one side and the guitar. I wanted it just the same coming out of each speaker.
One of the things that was very interestingly lovely regarding mono was he mentioned Jimi Hendrix, how he liked Jimi Hendrix in stereo then. Okay, was the interesting thing is I've got a compressor up there which
I
Jimi
knew you were going to do
Hendrix, which Jimi
He touched
Hendrix.
it, didn't he?
No, Hey Joe was recorded through it. And Purple Haze.
Which
the
one is
same
it?
one, the mono compressor. So when he said that, I went like, ka-ching, I could fucking put the mix through the fucking mono Fairchild.
There you go. It's all coming together
And,
now. Production notes happening now.
We did-
And you
yeah.
check it out. Have a listen to it.
Well, we did
see if you can
actually-
hear, don't worry about him.
Yeah.
Just have a listen and see if you can hear that Jimi Hendrix compression.
We did actually talk a lot
Or
before
just
the session.
nice compression.
We talked a lot. We had a couple of meetings where we just talked about what I was going to do, and we just did it. I mean, we had a lot of
Have you,
we had
have you
a lot
recorded
of fun,
albums in mono before?
Well, no, but I've always really never understood why it was so important to release something in stereo. So I sort of went more with the co-producer or the
You're going against
record
the
company
grain
or
kind of
something.
guy, aren't
I just don't. I've been close to releasing previous albums in mono. Yes, I'd say all my albums I've been close to releasing in mono. But this one I decided it is going to be. It is in mono. That was deliberate,
Yep.
I just like mono, and with people listening to music on their phones and all this crap, I can't see how. I think the mono sound would be stronger on those sort of digital platforms or whatever you want to call it. Those phones and stuff, because it's such a shit sound. It's worse than my old transistors that I had when in the 50s and 60s. Because I used to love transistors. Listening to the radio just on a small transistor.
Yep. So how many songs will be on the album?
25.
Steve? Wow! And how long did you record for? Was it one?
He culled them.
One mammoth session.
One session, 10 hours, 12 hours.
Hey?
12 hours.
It's like Woodstock
By the
up
time
in
he got,
there.
You know, did all the shit after.
It's a long time.
Yeah, it would 12 hours with one session of one of normal session with Rob.
A normal session.
Well, you know, Rob's
Was
I
normal
don't know if
enough.
you can apply the word normal.
well,
in this
you know, I
situation.
mean, the thing is that Rob
32 tracks we had to record. Give
more
us a break.
digital firepower than you'd want to
Yeah.
have.
Was it? There was something like that. It
Is
was
this a
absolutely
talkback
ridiculous.
show?
Yeah, it is. We've got to call in.
What was interesting, but too, was
Someone's calling in.
that Rob was.
Yes? No.
No one's on the phone.
I've lost
that was
my
a
track
talkback.
now.
It was a talkback.
What were we talking about before?
Sorry. We've got a talkback show. What was the
A
question?
long session. There was a long
Yeah,
session. to
yeah.
record.
I mean, Rob. I think the more we did the session, the recording, and then the mixing, that I think Rob got more and more into the whole
Yeah.
project. You know,
It was good. It was
I
good
could
fun.
see that, and I mean, he did a lot more
was
work
fun.
on the album than than I paid him for. But that's only because he did it. You know, I didn't ask him to do it, but he did a lot of.
Because I was having fun.
Extra.
Yeah, not
extra-
everyone should expect that kind of thing.
No,
They should
no,
do that right now.
But he
it's
knows that you know that you know I'm very choosy about where I.
Yeah, I
where
mean, this is
record,
your thing. You don't do
Yeah,
anything else. This
I'm
is
very
what-
careful when I decide where to record
Yeah.
and who to record it with. I'm very careful. You know, it's for me the engineer is the critical one in any recording, more so than a producer. The engineer is the one that I want, and I need to get down what I do. You know.
Yep.
In a recording, whether it's solo or with a band. So for me, the engineer is the critical thing in the whole project.
The linchpin.
As
Very
critical
important.
as any musicians,
Yep.
even if you're in a band, I
Yep.
would consider the engineer as important as any musician.
So you touched on digital platforms earlier, Steve.
Yeah.
What's your opinion of the music industry in general today, and you know, especially considering the digitalisation and the way that music's not monetised for corporations now, and that folks like yourself, musicians and writers, performers, are usually at the bottom of the totem pole in terms of getting paid. How
And
does
we're more at the bottom now than ever before.
Yeah.
And
Forced to record in mono.
and
cheaper, of course.
it's just discount.
So half price.
Discount,
Half
half
price.
half price. Yeah. Damn, I never thought you did that. No, okay.
That's why I charge it for them out.
So what were we talking about?
What we're talking about is the music industry.
The music industry.
With,
well,
the digitisation of music.
well, I mean, it's just you know, the internet's great and all that, but it's created a complete nightmare, really, for people to have access to music for free, you know, and the royalties that you get paid on digital platforms is so pathetic.
Yeah.
You know, iTunes are good. I get a good royalty
Yeah,
over
something's
there.
got to happen.
iTunes is really fair, you know.
Something's got to happen.
you
And
know,
especially with no COVID, no gigs with
Yeah,
like the
you know,
last fucking...
it's
So,
just.
so you can't
last
make a
piece
living
of
from
shit
live
they were left
performances
to
for the
eat.
last few months, obviously,
Oh
because
no,
of the,
I lost
the
a
health
lot of
situation.
work, you
of
know.
course. So that becomes very important.
Two French tours we had to cancel, and
Yep.
you know, it's because France had blocked the borders as well, and obviously Australia's
Wouldn't
blocked.
that be nice if Spotify just, because for the
But Spotify,
COVID thing,
you know,
just increased the whole thing and said,
But,
because
yeah.
the bands aren't playing live.
What a tremendous
live
incentive,
anymore.
Spotify, if you're watching now.
Yeah.
But you know,
Could you please increase the rates because the bands aren't playing
But
live
they're
anymore?
they're not
so
gonna-
they need to make more money out of the
they're not
streaming.
going to do it. You know, the
of
reality
course
is
not.
they're not going to do
They're
it.
corporations, it's not.
And you know, the guy's a billionaire. He lives in a $2.5 billion house or something. You know, he doesn't give
Yep.
a shit about musicians really.
Yep.
The reality is that I meet a lot of people when I play. I mean, in France here, and I'd say 90% of people listen to Spotify. I've never heard anything on Spotify. It doesn't interest me.
Yep.
People are under the misconception that everything is available on Spotify, which is complete
It's not.
nonsense.
No, it's not.
I would say 75% of my
That's a sad
collection is
thing.
not on Spotify. But
Yeah, yeah.
but I know that a lot of my stuff is
What
rare.
they're doing is they're
and
putting
why they're
yeah.
not going to put something rare on there because they're not going to make them. They're not going to
Well,
make
they're
them-
putting singles on there and stuff, and what
Yeah.
they do is they want to attract
Yeah.
buyers to go and buy their
Yeah,
product.
I don't like the
So
whole.
just,
I don't.
the-
I
And
don't.
so
advertising
Spotify
platform.
still
I
is
don't-
limited. It's
and
not
also
really.
the problem is people
shit,
today
'cause it's killing the album.
are easily led by
killing
by
you.
Suggestions by Facebook, suggestions by YouTube, suggestions by Spotify, blah blah blah, about what they should be listening to, instead of actually searching for music. I search for music every day, and I treat YouTube like a record shop, and I just search for new music every day because
You're a YouTube kind of guy.
well, no, I used to research at the library, and I used to go to record shops, and I still go to record shops in Paris and that, but I like new music. I want to hear new. There's so much music that I've never heard that I want to hear. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I'm searching. So I find something every day that I've never heard, which actually I really love.
Yep.
I can honestly say I hear a lot of shit too, but I'll know straight away whether I like something. I mean, I know if it has to hit me straight away.
You've mentioned Paris a couple of times. Obviously, you've spent a lot of time there in the last, I'm going to say, few years.
Oh no, I've been going to Paris since 1974 every year, and
You've made quite a few visits in the last 2 years.
A lot in the last 2 years, and I was there for quite a while.
And so the shows that you were doing in Paris, tell us about them.
Well, they're all small, mostly just small bars. I've done a few festivals and
is that solo or with the
theatres. Some solo, some duo, some band, mainly solo. Most of the bars are really small, but I like that, intimate, Cafes. I've done some theatres and some festivals, but I don't care where I'm not. I don't need to play to big crowds. I've played to big crowds. That I like playing to where I can really see the people, and I like intimate venues. The Paris is really good for that. It's like Ronnie Knight's or the old Gaslight at the Fly, and that small club thing.
And obviously you've been able to find an audience there.
Yeah, well, yes, and the last tour was the most successful tour when I came back in March, and I was booked to go back at the end of March and then booked to go back at the end of May. We had tours booked,
Yep.
So, we built up a private network there as well, and that's been incredible, like playing in people's apartments or houses and stuff. I mean, I've done that here a lot over the years, but I've never been able to do that in Paris before. But now there's actually a group of people, of friends, and that are all really great people.
House concerts or house parties, however you want to term them, seem to have become much more
visible,
much more in vogue. I've been to a couple myself, and as musicians, you look at gigs and go, well, they're getting smaller. Gigs are getting smaller for local players, so inevitably we're going to be playing in each other's lounge rooms and backyards. I sort of started doing all that, playing in parties and you wouldn't have called them house concerts in the 60s. It would be just parties. So
and that would always be the case.
So a lot of the grounding is in that area. So
probably more in backyards back in those days.
Yeah, there was a lot.
Yeah, there was.
I mean, I did a lot.
When you say back in those days, when are we talking
60s
about?
really for me more.
And for me, 70s.
But 70s as well. Yeah, I agree. Especially early 70s, I reckon.
Yeah.
But I reckon it's just with all what's happening now with the virus and shit and the collapse of the whole thing, basically.
It's a house of cards.
It's musicians have to be more creative than ever because
they do with marketing.
The money is just it's just.
What do you think that is? That musicians seem to be, and I see we've talked about this before, Steve. Where we might play shows together, and the PA guy seems to get paid, the promoter and the bouncer's girlfriend and the bar attendants all get paid, and it seems to me that the musicians seem to be at the bottom of the totem pole.
We are at the bottom, and
it's not always been like that. And is that there's probably different reasons for that. I suspect that one of them might be that because entertainment is susceptible to people who have different ideas of what they should and shouldn't be doing to go and play. People play for free, people play for fun.
People's attention span is so short these days, it's quite ridiculous, really. It's quite disturbing, in my opinion, And people's, I mean, this is a pretty conservative country, I mean, going back and forth from Australia to France, I mean, France is very different to here. The culture is really different. Everyone's politically engaged. They're right on it. The life, the energy there is incredible. I mean, I don't get anything here, so I don't get any energy here at all. I live a very quiet life. So
You're not a very energetic bugger.
So my energy is in writing songs and
of course,
in my lounge room, basically,
right.
and listening to music, and shit stirring. Rob, you know what I mean?
Class A shit stirrer and troublemaker.
But I listen to music all the time. So.
Sounds like you go out more in Paris than you do in Perth.
Oh yeah, I go out a lot more in Paris.
So,
My life is quite different in Paris.
Yeah, right.
So
just to swing the focus back to the record, what's do you have a name for the?
Yeah, Where Many Rivers Meet.
Where Many Rivers Meet.
Yeah, that's one of the songs.
Yeah, right.
I like that because it's it's just perfect for the music, in my opinion.
Yep.
That title, I went through a few other titles from songs on the album and just titles that had nothing to do with the titles. I just thought that sort of captured the essence of what I wanted the album to sort of be,
Is it a culmination? Is this record a culmination of things for you, Steve? How long have you been working toward? I mean, as a musician, when you finish your last record, you automatically start on the journey to the next record.
I do.
I understand that.
Really, yeah. But I mean, the last 5 years has been sort of quite tough in a lot of ways,
Yeah, tell me about that. I know you lost your mum on a personal
level.
level.
I mean, probably losing my mother was the biggest thing. And, I was drinking a bit too much in Paris when I was there for a while. Just... I was healthy, but I'm not as healthy then as I am now.
Yeah.
I find that my body's so clean now that it doesn't need anything. I don't need a drink of wine, or I don't need a smoke, or I like it, obviously. I like it.
Obviously.
Obviously. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
But I look after my health, and with all the shit that's going down with the virus, I mean, it's just, I've got a very strong immune system built up over 30 years,
Yeah,
so
not everyone does.
Probably more, because I've focused on it.
Yeah.
When I really started my Ayurvedic discipline, like my lifestyle.
Yep.
So it's critical.
So many songs on the album. Sorry, tell me again
25.
how many? 25 songs.
16 originals.
Many songs.
Many
16
songs.
originals.
During the process, Rob, were you like, yeah, that's got to go on, that's a goer?
Yeah, Rob had his input.
Did you feel like you had some input into the selections?
I asked Rob's opinion.
They're pretty quick.
Rob
Rob
gave his opinion pretty quick, and
I know you like to work quick, so you would be going, what do you reckon? Yes, spin it, true it again, no, let's go again.
That's right.
That's right. No, I would straight
ahead, wasn't it?
And I would trust his.
It was pretty straight ahead. We both felt the same thing. Usually.
I don't think we disagreed on any take or anything.
Someone
like I say,
picking up on
we did a little bit
of
of editing later on, mainly to fit in more songs on the album, but also I think it made some of the songs better the way Rob edited them, But it's still live, but there's a few edits, you know. It's the first time I've never released everything that I've recorded.
That leads us to the box set.
Yeah, my box set.
Well, yeah, I don't know of anyone that's released a box set like yours, that's for sure.
No,
And
this
I
first
believe there's
independent
12,
solo
the second
one.
one.
Yeah, no, I got enough for about 4 box sets actually, material.
When Steve dies, he's going to release an album every
well, I have
month
because
for the next 20 years.
I record a lot of gigs, and there's a lot of really great gigs on YouTube, and that session at the Ripple Room, just me and you, and there's a lot of stuff, Plus, there's a lot of live recordings in Paris that are really good, and so
you've got enough. There's enough stuff.
There's enough. There's enough recording stuff that's interesting. Enough photos, enough stories, enough whatever to do another 3 volumes. But it's expensive, and my focus is really. It's not. I haven't got the money to do it. I mean, I'd have to get a grant to do it, but because it's expensive to do, and I just don't have the money. So. And especially with the way what's happened, you know, it's not exactly an easy life. You know?
So what goes with the release of this album? When exactly will it be released? Do you have a date yet?
Yet.
Okay, it'll be soon.
I mean,
it's coming.
It'll be released as soon as possible.
Yep. And will
the cover's almost finished.
Yep.
The mastering's been done for a while, but
yep.
you know, I've gone through quite a few different covers because I'm sort of searching for something, and when I see it, I'll know that that's what I want. You know, I reckon I'm about 75% there.
Are you honing in on something?
Yeah, yes, I am, and I think.
Is it something that you thought that you would arrive at, or not? Are you surprised by where you're at with your decision?
Well, no, because I liaise with someone who I trust, you know, creatively.
So, what other? So, with the new record, is that that'll be on your website? People will be able to. You'll be obviously promoting it when it's out. What are your plans in terms of that?
Well, you know, obviously do some gigs, and go back to Paris when I'm allowed to go back, when the government, you know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, I think there's more work there waiting for me than here, that's for sure.
Yep.
But, you know, just get it out really and try and sell it but I mean, for me it's all about playing, so playing is the most important thing. In music, for me, it's about playing live, not recording is cool, and releasing albums is great because it create. I mean, the reason why I did it as well was to create work, because 75% of my work is solo. So, you know, to do a solo album, I wanted to be able to show people what a live show could sound like, the diversity of the material, originals and some a cappellas and field hollers and some gospel and, you know, just a mixture of things, you know. So the CD's a very important promo thing to get work. You know, obviously it's
a business card these days, isn't it?
It's like a business card, really. Yeah, I mean, I've got a 12-page booklet in it for this time. It's a digipack with a 12-page booklet. The booklet's finished. It's just finishing the cover, but the booklet's done. We've got that 100% now. So it's just.
Is it exciting seeing it come together?
Yeah, well, I like it, you know, because it's.
Have you started on the next record in your head?
I've already written 9 new songs, so since I did the album, I've written 9 new songs, so I've almost got another album, and if I do the same idea, by the time I do it, I'll have another at least 9, 10, you know, more maybe, and, you know, I'd always put some a cappella field hollers and stuff, and, you know, I like doing
weird shit.
I like doing other people's songs when I can make it sound like mine, and that's what I do when I do other people's songs. I don't try and copy the, you know, I'm not interested in, you know, I'm not a 80-year-old Mississippi blues man that's come up from slavery. I'm a white kid from Maylands, you know, so I've got to put my slant on it, you know. And show respect to the original, you know, it's very important.
Well, you're very well known for that.
It's very important for me to show respect to the composer and the original performers, because, you know, for me to choose songs like that on a new album, instead of putting one of my songs on, you know, because there's originals that were left off the album. You know, I could have done all originals, right?
Yeah.
But I wanted to showcase. I mean, I can play better than that recording live solo, you know what I mean? I mean, that's just a particular performance. So I mean, a live performance will be much better than a CD.
Yeah. But a CD, and we've talked about this and touched on this.
Well, for me, I mean,
Steve,
you know,
that, you know, a great recording is more, and Rob might want to chime in too. A great recording to me, as I get older, is something that is like a photograph, and it doesn't have to be. You don't have to have a Hasselblad or a Canon 9 million to take a great photograph. You want to take a photograph of something that's awesome,
of course.
And I think that's where, you know, we're going, and I think that's possibly where your philosophy. What do you think about? any of that, Rob?
Well,
It's a bit
you want to
open-ended.
record
Sorry, that wasn't an
something-
actual question.
No, I think I'm picking up on something, but you want to record something that's awesome, is what you said.
Yeah, exactly.
Are
And
you-
the
are
tools
you
become
saying-
secondary, perhaps. Maybe not in your case exactly. Because
No, because the awesomeness comes from the the actual what you do with
yeah,
the
I was
thing
ju-
that spurts out.
I mean, the thing is
pop.
that someone can have all this equipment and not know how to use it. I mean, Rob knows how to use it. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that got a lot of equipment.
Yep.
I've been in studios where maybe not as much as this, but they've had a lot of shit,
Yeah.
But I-
Does having equipment? We talked about Pro Tools
yes, I
earlier,
was saying
Rob.
that,
Does
yeah.
equipment equipment interfere with the recording process? Have you seen that happen?
Oh, of course, equipment can interfere.
But it all gets back to the
Misuse
engineer.
of it.
That's not fun
Well,
talking
it gets
about
back
that.
to
No,
the
let's
engineer,
talk about
but
fun
I mean,
things.
it gets back to the engineer. I mean, I don't know. How, Rob could tell you how much he used of this shit on my recording because it was such a basic recording.
Well, we used,
But
it
the
wasn't
thing is-
basic. It wasn't a basic
No, but-
recording.
No, but I mean, it's solo.
a
It's
solo artist.
you know what I mean?
But when it was a solo artist and knowing
But-
full well
Yeah.
that is the product at the end of the day, and we're not doing anything else,
Yep.
I
That's right.
realised that we had to fucking
Yeah,
turn it up and
well, it was very-
fucking do something with
it was
it.
very
Yeah, right.
interesting for me to watch Rob do that. Like he experimented a lot with sounds and stuff,
Yep.
especially when we were doing the mixing, right? You know what I mean? I mean, the recording obviously is in here. We really didn't listen to everything back. Sometimes I just moved on to the next song.
We just tried to capture the
We ju-
spirit
I
of the
just wanted
performance
to,
and
yeah, I just
follow
wanted
it
to
through.
play as much as possible, and just cut as many songs as possible.
Yeah. And how many did you play with your electric guitar, and how many acoustically?
I played more on the electric. I'd say about 20.
We moved it back and forth.
Yeah,
or just-
no, I did
just once?
No, I did a long SG session and
Yeah.
then a long 12-string session
Yeah.
and then a cappella session. 3 sessions
That's
we did.
it.
3. We had 3, all electric,
Yeah, that's right.
all 12-string,
and some of the
cappella.
songs you did electric, and then you did on 12
Yeah,
string
that's
as well.
right.
And then we
Yeah.
picked which one
Yeah,
was
that's
better, which
right.
was the better.
I did a couple of versions on both
which was
because
a
I
better
wasn't
version
sure.
to use.
I was curious to hear the songs on both guitars, and it wasn't the like.
And
For
also
example,
with
there
the-
was one that.
Yeah.
The one that I would have gone with the 12-string because I like the sound of the 12-string.
What
on
song
the
was
groove.
that?
It's Mr. Yum Yum Man. On
Oh,
the
yes,
12
I'm
sounds
familiar
really
with that.
good on the 12-string, but my vocal performance on that take was not as good as the
Earlier one.
other one, whereas the SG was very strong on that one, So that was an example of I really wanted to have that as a 12-string, but I didn't think my vocals was as good, So
Because when you're recording it live like that and
Yeah.
stuff, what we were doing was basically Steve was warming into the whole
Yeah.
thing in the
Yeah.
headphones, and
Yeah.
I'm warming into a sound,
Yeah,
and we're
of
getting a
course.
sound,
Yeah.
and the whole thing's developing, and then, and it's either a thing,
Yeah.
and then you go through these little waves of
Yeah,
So
but-
as
so we had
your
some of the
comfort level-
songs.
As the
Yeah,
comfort
it was
level
interesting.
increases, obviously, you
and the sounds, we
you know,
discovered new sounds, and they inspired
And it happened
performance.
also with each, both the electric and the 12 and the a cappella. The first song, for example, of each session set the mood, and we were both really basically in tune by the end of the first song. I'd say
And
we
then
were
we-
really
Cooking.
really tight
Oh, it's
on the
right,
whole
yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
I remember the 12-string when I did Wade in the Water.
Do you
I
like
mean,
the
we've
sound
got
of the
such a good
guild,
guitar,
Rob?
Yeah, we got a killer guitar
Killer
sound, didn't
guitar
we?
sound,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was like
That guild
fucking- that
sounds amazing.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's a beautiful
yeah,
guitar.
we had a
Big sound. And,
I had the big old 44, 1930s mic out front, big ribbon one,
Yeah, you
going
did.
through a ballistic
Yeah,
bloody
yeah.
compression and everything.
yeah.
So it's just like quite a distance away, but it was like fucking hammering it.
Yeah, right.
And I hit hard, and I used
So,
thick
so it was
strings.
quite a
so
distance away, but it was still, but I was like driving that really heavy.
it's quite a different approach to the 12 because I hit it so hard.
It's like,
And the
didn't need a bass
strings
guitar.
are heavy, like medium gauge, and I don't pick, so it's just I hit the groove, So,
yeah, it was good fun.
the 12-string sound was incredible, but I really liked the vocals, the sound that Rob got on the vocals was great.
Yeah,
it was really perfect for what
Is that a ribbon mic you
for
used
what
on
I
the vocal
wanted
mic,
was
the
really
the
vintage
good.
one?
Perfect.
vocal was a 47.
it was really
He
nice.
used
sound.
47.
Yeah.
It was a really good sound.
Yeah, there's a good chance Johnny Keefe could have used that vocal mic
Who?
actually, because Johnny O'Keefe.
Really? I like Johnny
Yeah, because it
O'Keefe.
came out of a TV studio where Johnny O'Keefe did all his recordings.
Oh, Johnny,
But they would have had a few of those probably. They would have, but not many.
I saw him
Maybe
live,
4 2.
at the Capitol Theatre. He was he was incredible. He was just.
What year was that?
Oh, it was the
That's
early '60s, I guess. I don't know.
you ride your push bike
Move,
down there.
babe.
So
Well,
you
I
would have
used
been
to see all
12
those
or
shows.
13? How
I
old
used
were you
to
when
see
you
all those shows at the Capitol,
How
you
old
know.
were you when you saw them, you think? Obviously they made an impression on you.
Oh, shit. Oh, how old was I? I don't know, 12, 13 maybe, I don't know. Less. I get Johnny O'Keefe, right? Oh, I reckon maybe 12.
Yeah.
But I saw all the international tours and national tours and that, but he was pretty incredible, you know, and he had the Deltones backing him on vocals, and he had an incredible band, like the musicians were superb, you know. It was really quite incredible performance, you know, and he was full on, like, you know, really the charisma and the presence was staggering, you know. It was really quite electric, you know.
Well, wouldn't it?
I remember it being I remember him sort of having an effect on the. I've never actually talked about this before in my life, but I just remembered it now. Now that we brought up Johnny O'Keefe,
There you go.
he really had
quite
a powerful impact on me as a kid, you know, because he was so. Well, when I think back, I guess it was sexual, but at the time I didn't think of it as sexual, but it was just something.
It was pretty slam.
It was
and it
something
obviously
really
affected
powerful,
you.
you know. Like
Rock and roll is very physical.
He was
you know?
really, you know, and his performance, you know, his stage charisma thing was staggering, you know. I mean, I've seen some clips on YouTube, black and white clips now, where he's very similar to what I saw him, you know.
Yep.
Like the sheer, and you know, he's a good singer, you know, he's a bloody good singer.
Before PAs were really invented.
Yeah, but it was the band, you know, for me it was the whole thing. The band was really good band, like really
That's
good
right.
musicians. And, you know, and also the Deltones, you know, doing that 4-part harmony, you know, they were really good, you know. I mean, they really added.
And did they play instruments as well? So they were the band. They
just 4 singers.
Yeah, gotcha.
The Deltones,
Yeah, right.
Get a little dirt on your hands and all that. They were an incredible quartet, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, I mean, he really was special, I reckon.
Johnny
I don't know, how
O'Keefe.
did we get on to Johnny O'Keefe?
I'm
Because of
unsure.
the U-47.
Oh, that's right. Oh, the microphone,
that's the
yeah.
mic out of
studio.
the TV studio.
If he did that, I'm proud.
Let's get back to microphones.
Get back to music.
So can we expect to see some samples and loops on this new record, Steve?
Samples and loops.
Yeah, you had the hiccups.
There is actually a couple. Rob, on one of the hollers, we added all this stuff. It's incredible. What Rob did was
Oh, I thought you were going to jump out of your chair and slap me if I
so
asked him.
bizarre. It was so perfect, you know, for what I wanted. Because I originally wasn't going to put that particular track on the album.
What's it called?
Early in the Morning. It's an old holler, you know. But Rob came up with this rhythm thing over my hitting the guitar and that.
I remember.
And you know, the one that really distorted.
Yeah, oh.
Sounds like it's exploding.
Was that the one with the hidden monstrous hum?
Yeah,
When it was complete silence, the compression would stop and the hum would just go.
Yeah, it was really
raise back up like a moon.
But he did this
like
thing like it was
synthesizer.
almost like a reverse. But it's only 1 minute and 20 seconds long, so it's just a holler with this.
So you've mentioned field hollers a couple of times. Tell me a bit about field hollers. I don't know if everyone knows about them. Certainly I didn't really know what the hell a field holler was until I...
slavery days, you know, people singing in the, you know, the things, picking cotton and stuff, you know, work songs. Same as in Africa, same as in most tribal cultures, you know. Singing songs while you're working, really. You know, that's where it came from, really.
I haven't sung at work for a long time.
No, but, you know, that's part of the culture, and it's a very African thing, because that's where their roots are. But, you know, I mean, it's slavery, you know, prison, people in prison singing while they're laying the tracks and all that shit. I mean, I laid tracks, so it was quite funny, because I tried to get all my friends on the railways singing hollers with me. They thought I was.
You are shitting me.
They thought I was completely mad. I worked for Midland Railways.
You kidding?
1969, laying the tracks to Guildford.
No way.
Only for a few months.
So putting sleepers in?
Yeah, putting sleepers in, fixing up stuff, and going just day by day, moving forward.
And you tried to get your other white suburban mates to sing field hollers.
Well, I love I've always loved Phil Tallis.
That is
And
a,
I
that
sort
is a, that is a,
when
that is
I
a
got offered the
fantastic
job,
Steve Tallis story.
well, I was in between
I've never heard
bands,
that
right?
one.
The Jelly Roll Bakers had broken up, and it was I just going to take a few months to form the next band.
And how old were you at this time?
Uh,
You're about 16, 17 maybe?
17, yeah. So I did it, but the thing is, really had to be 18 to do the job. So I lied about my age, and I sort of hurt I hurt my back.
Oh yeah.
Doing something, carrying this bag of nails, which I should never have even attempted because I was pretty frail, I was a pretty skinny kid, Anyway, I hurt my back, and my back's all right now, but.
So you have actually worked on a railroad?
Yeah, I did, yeah, and I was saying holidays. They thought I was mad. They thought I was completely mad.
I can't think why.
I kept saying to them, "You got to go," like. You got to and do the sound with the tapping of the nails and all that.
I would have been into it.
Like getting into the rhythm thing.
Rob would have been into it for sure.
Yeah.
Honestly, they used to think I was completely mad.
Yeah, they did.
All of them were older guys. They were all. The boss was Yugoslavian, and all the guys were like Italian, Greek, or it was
family men.
There's this kid that arrives. What happened was some of my fans from the Jelly Roll Bakers were working on it, and when I reflect on them, I think they were both gay, but they were working on the railways. So that's how I got the job through them, It was bizarre. But it was good actually, because I can honestly say I did it, So.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, really, but I didn't really stop singing, and they didn't mind me singing. They just refused to
join in,
sing with me, Well, they couldn't work out what it was all about, which is fair enough, They didn't really ask me why I was doing it, because they just knew I was a singer. They already knew that I was from bands and that.
Did you have long hair?
Yeah, I was starting to grow longer, yeah. Not really long, got longer a bit later, but yeah, well, I was sort of long, yeah. Long in those days, for Perth. Perth's pretty conservative place. But Perth actually in the 60s and 70s was an interesting city, I reckon. A lot of things happening, some really great venues, Real good ambience. I feel like from another planet when I go into the city now. I don't relate to it at all. I'm completely lost. It happens every time I go there. I don't go there.
Is that because you're old and senile now, Steve?
I don't go there very often.
That's true.
What did you say?
I said it must be hard getting lost like that.
Well, it's strange because I did really love the city when
Yeah, I went there.
It's just it's the ambience. There's just something, it's quite bizarre. I just don't feel.
Well, it's obviously different. The city's changed.
I don't feel. I think Perth did have a lot of energy.
It's changed immensely in the last 10 years.
I just don't. I don't feel
15
any.
years.
I don't feel any energy. There's nothing happening. Well,
thank God you've made a new record.
And I'm very. I feel that anywhere I go. That's what I love most. In a lot of ways about Paris and Montreux and Bagnolet, and it's the energy in the street. You can't escape it. It's there, and I'd say a lot of it's to do with all the Africans there and all the Northern African and Western African, and it's
been
pretty
a melting pot
very
for the last,
very and the area
centuries.
Where I lived there was very arts, music, a lot of musicians and sculptors and artists, and it's quite a lot of. It's a completely different respect for people in the arts. It's completely.
Do you still feel a
different.
sense of some form of sense of community in your hometown of Perth, in the music community? No?
No, not really. I feel that with my musicians, but not in the community. No, because I live such a private life. I don't feel comfortable with crowds. I know that sounds sort of strange from a musician thing, but
nothing sounds strange from
playing on stage is completely different to being somewhere socially or. I still love to go out and see live bands, so I still do that because I love to see live music. So, I'll go to the Hilton Park Bowling Club or Clancy's or whatever.
Bolo's, what a great gig.
Well, Market Bar, just go to places because I love music,
have my wine now.
Then there'll be no opportunity to have the wine.
There won't be because it'll spill my breath.
Okay, and welcome back. We're here at Poons Head Studio, Fremantle, Western Australia, talking with Mr. Rob Grant and Mr. Steve Tallis about the recording and subsequent carrying on regarding Steve's new recording and soon-to-be-released album, Where Many Rivers Meet. We've been talking about all things Tallis and how the recording came about. I just want to talk a bit about the two main different ways that you work, Steve. You obviously do a lot of solo work.
Yes.
You're touring of the last couple of years internationally through in Paris.
Well, more than 2 years. But
The last several years.
Many years.
Sees you doing two different versions of reality, like you do here when you tour. You're either playing solo or with a band. It must be hard to. Let me rephrase. What are some of the issues that you would face when you take a gig and you decide, is that a solo gig? Will I use a band? If so, where am I? What people do I use? How do you make those decisions?
Well, the starting point is the money, because I want to pay people as much as possible. I never take more than the other musicians, so I always split it equal. So
obviously solo gigs are the winner there.
Solo gigs, I make more money, especially in Paris.
Do you pay yourself 10%?
No, but the thing is, it's really the money. If I get the money,
yep,
then I basically send. This is what I normally do. I would send unless I'm 100% sure who I want.
Yep,
I send a email to all the musicians that I use. There might be 4 or 5 drummers, a few bass players, a few guitarists, not too many, but maybe a violinist or harp player. I send that out and say, who is available on this date?
Yep.
So I wait for the response.
Yep.
And then I decide who to use.
Yep. And you've got a network of folks that you would use to play music with, and some of these people you've been playing with, including me. Some of these people you've been playing with for many years. Someone like Dave Clark.
Yeah, well, Dave Clark's. We have a telepathic. He's got perfect pitch, so I can go anywhere with someone like that. I mean, he's a multi-instrumentalist, so you've got the harmonica, the mandolin, the violin. You've got incredible voice. He does very, very nice slide guitar. Very simple. But he's also a really good guitarist. So.
And do you find that the material that you work with changes dramatically? Obviously there's a massive difference.
With.
Well, between not just who you play with, between how the songs develop or how they change in a live situation when you're playing them solo as opposed to when you're working with a band. How does that work?
Yes, very different. Well, the way I approach music when I play, and I've had this philosophy for a long time, is that my philosophy is when I get on stage, I'm playing that song for the first time, or these songs for the first time. I've never played them before. I've never recorded them. I have no reference points. They're just songs.
You kind of bin your preconceptions a bit, don't you? And I've been lucky enough to play with you for a few years, and I remember starting with you and saying, what do you want me to play? And you laughed, and you said you could play whatever you want. I would never tell you what to play, and I was at first very confused by that.
Well, when you first started playing with me, you overplayed, like most musicians do. But then you realised that you don't need to play because I'm playing the rhythm. And, I'm really tight on the rhythm, so you can do textures and line, you know what I mean? That's where your role, for me, naturally fits. Yep. But you're a great rhythm player too, so we do a lot of interesting cross rhythms together, particularly on sort of open chords and stuff. You have a real good sense of textures with what I do, so.
And all the other musicians you play with have that version of reality too. They all bring something to what's going on,
and that's what it's all about to me. If I'm on stage with the band, I'm not the leader and all that crap. And the star.
But you're still excited by the notion of the collaboration.
Oh yeah, no, I like working with people. If I get the money, I work with bands. It's really the money that holds it back, and I don't want people to play for free or for some chicken, shit. Fees are bad enough at the moment. So, I like both, but you can't have more freedom than when you play solo. That to me is ultimate freedom. I chop songs left, right and centre when I play solo. And also when I play solo, I can do you know, I cut the songs right back to the minimum, so I can play a lot more songs.
So do you rehearse, say for
No.
a solo gig, do you rehearse the songs at home?
Oh,
With a
no,
band,
not-
would you rehearse?
Not really, no. You know,
But again, that's
you know, we
that's,
don't really rehearse. We occasionally have a jam, but not really. I wouldn't call it rehearsal.
Yeah, but you also you choose people to work with that
Yes.
you know
Respect and accept.
and you look for. I know what you look for in players. You look for players that challenge you and kind of fight back a bit
Yeah,
sometimes.
that's right. Yeah. I want to be challenged just as much as I want to challenge. I want them to challenge me, and also I want musicians that are open to the whole concept of being open to anything happening on stage in any directions, not relying on me to direct the grooves or anything.
Yep.
And you know, everyone I play with is really good like that because you know they're all strong players, and they know they've got the freedom. I mean, you know that my philosophy is that mistakes don't exist. So, you know, musicians cannot make a mistake with me. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what you do.
I think Miles says that too.
Yeah, that's where I got inspired by Miles Davis and Roland Kirk in the 60s when I read interviews with them in Downbeat magazine where they said that.
Did you understand that concept at the time?
Well, at the time,
Because when I first saw that, I didn't really understand. I didn't really.
Well, I come from a background of playing in bands that were, I guess, we were sort of copying the Beatles and the Stones and the Animals and Manfred Mann. We were sort of trying to copy them.
Yep.
But I was always under the thing of not really trying to copy them too much. You know, especially when I got into more black blues and that. You know, I knew I was a 15-year-old kid, you know, from you know what I mean? So I had to interpret it in a way that reflected me. Even then I thought that, you know, doing old Howling Wolf and Muddy Waters and, you know, still wanted to put a little bit of a spin on it that was mine, you know. And that's when I started writing in that period. And then I started playing guitar the year after I worked on the railways, I started playing guitar. And that's where I started writing songs, so.
Was that a big moment for you to have a guitar and for you to start maybe putting sounds, being able to play a guitar the way you had heard your heroes do that? Was that a big
I
time
don't
for
believe
you?
in heroes, but people that influenced me.
of-
Yeah, no, I don't like the word heroes, but yeah, people that influenced me. And also, I had such a strong sense of rhythm. You know, I love rhythm. I've always been into rhythm, you know. And basically, I just watched a lot of guitarists that I'd worked with, Peter Walker and Peter Fussell and Dennis James and, you know, Phil Preet, you know, a lot of musicians around town, Dave Hole, you know, I watched guitarists. So I felt that I'd absorbed enough to even do the basic chords, you know, and I knew that a lot of the songs were basic.
And were you one of those young folks, one of those kids that locked themselves in the room and played guitar
Yes.
every moment you had?
I played all day. Drove my parents completely insane.
Yeah. Were they supportive?
Yeah, very supportive, 100% supportive. Couldn't have done what I'd done without my mum and dad, particularly, and my grandparents, I think.
Yep.
No, I couldn't have. No, it would have been impossible. Because at that time, what I chose to do was quite radical, really. You know, I mean.
And how did their support manifest itself? Were they like, you know, we'll give you a ride into practice, or we'll assist you with some finance, maybe to get some gear if you needed equipment?
Well, no, I never really asked them for money to buy equipment because I was, you know, I started earning money quite young. You know, I was playing in clubs when I was 13, when I still got high school. So I was actually earning, you know, probably $10 a night or something in those days, playing in clubs like Zanzibar and Ricketic and. No, Ricketic was a bit later, but What the Heck and Arenas, and, you know. So I'd already, I was a good saver, you know. So, you know, I saved up. The first PA I had was a Maton 30-watt amp, you know, just with one 12-inch. That's what I used for PA, you know, before I got into PAs.
Yep.
After that, I got into like 8 times, you know, 2 columns of 4 8-inch speakers, and then built it and got in more into systems later, you know, larger systems. But I mean, the main thing was I I was writing, so I started writing songs. So,
and you started that process when you, I think, if I'm not mistaken, you said that when you got your guitar, that was when you started writing. Is that true?
Well, I think I was writing before, but I didn't have the guitar to translate it onto something behind lyrics. You know, I had ideas. I had notebooks, and I've always got notebooks, so I've always had notebooks. So, you know, I had a lot of notebooks filled with all these. A lot of it was just crap, of course, but, you know, I keep all that stuff because sometimes you can go back and you can pick a line out that's really good. You know?
And were you writing songs at this point that were, when you started, were they autobiographical?
Everything's autobiographical that I write. Everything's, you know, everything's relevant. It might not be that obvious, but it is, but everything I write is personal, so it's my feelings about something, whether it's politics, religion, love, sex, death.
Do you write from different characters' perspectives, or do you feel like you write from your perspective?
Sometimes I write from other perspectives, yeah. Interesting question, yeah. No one's ever asked me that before, but yeah, that's true. I do write from other people's perspectives sometimes.
Yep.
Some people close to me.
Yep.
You know, it's true. I've done something from my mother's perspective once, and also from my kids. And that one's actually on the new album, the one in relation to my children, that fits what you just asked me. So there's one track on there that's definitely from that perspective.
Yeah, right. So how do you feel about being older? We've been talking about your youth and how you started now as an older musician and a performer. How do you see things? Do you feel any different than you were when you were 40 doing what you're doing?
I feel healthier, more passionate about my music, more self-belief, more faith. I'm playing the best I've ever played, in my opinion. When I came
You're a big
back,
believer in yourself.
When I came back from, well, there's a difference between believing in yourself and being arrogant. I'm also my biggest critic. So when I play, I'm very critical of my performance afterwards. When I play well, I know if I've played well. I always try to play well, you know. Occasionally you might have something, you know, like a spoke in the wheel before you get on stage, or, you know, like something like that, you know. Like the other night when I played at Gypsy Tap, I broke a string in the first song, and I never break strings on the SG, and it was the bottom E, so it was sort of, you know, the bass E.
That's the big string. That's an important string.
Yeah, and especially for me, because I do a lot of songs that are on those first few strings, so I had to change that. I mean, I used to, if I broke a string, and before I used to just do hollers while I changed the string.
Yep.
And I would do that in concert. For example, if I was playing just the electric and I broke a string, if I was playing in a bar or a show, I would do a cappella while I changed the string. But I didn't do that at Tallis, you know. Only took me 30 seconds anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, my thing is that, you know, playing with different musicians who respect me and appreciate the freedom that I give them is what it's all about. I mean, it keeps me fresh, you know. I mean, I work with great musicians in Paris, so, you know. I only work with my friends. Everyone that I work with is my friend. So. Do
you feel more mellower now than you did when you were younger? Or do you still feel anger? Do you still feel like you've got fire and something to tell people about?
Yeah, I think I've got more fire now than I've ever had in my life. More passion and, you know, and more commitment and stuff.
You've certainly got terrific pants.
Thanks, Phil. But yeah, I think I've got more now than ever before. But it's much more focused. It's much more crystallised, and I'm very calm. I'm a very calm sort of person, really. Nothing really.
Do you find that what you do, because you've done this your whole life, Steve, you've talked about this before, you've done this from a very young age, do you find that as you get older and you still are doing the same type of thing, you're still writing, you're still playing, you're still performing, collaborating with other musicians, you're recording, do you find that you're getting closer to something? Do you find this is like coming towards something, or do you see it as just another step in the journey?
Just another step. I don't think like that, you know. I mean,
I don't mean necessarily in terms of success. I mean in terms of creativity or personal achievement.
My thing is just to keep playing, keep writing, keep touring, stay healthy. You know, see my kids and, you know, my grandchild. You know what I mean? Just very basic things. I don't set myself any targets or anything. I just want to keep playing live and playing well and having fun when I play. If I stop having fun, I'll stop. but I always have fun. So, you know, I play long sets too.
Yes,
You
very
know,
long.
I've played
It's like Woodstock up in that thing.
I've played 7-hour solo sets in Paris. You know,
That's,
the last set being 4 hours straight.
Oh, really?
I've done that a lot.
Couldn't you have a breather and a snack? Maybe a glass of wine?
I just like, well, I had a few glasses of wine, but I just have so many songs to play, and like with the album now,
You really are driven to
and
do
the 9 songs I've written since I did the recording, I've almost got a completely new repertoire. I mean, not a complete repertoire, but I've got all this stuff, and I want to do the new songs. I don't write new songs and just shelve them. I write them to play live. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how the live repertoire changes in the next, 6 months, a year, I guess.
Just to bring Rob back into the conversation, if you had to describe Steve's new record, Rob, how would you describe it?
Well, I'd try and do it without dry tongue. So sorry, what was the question?
How would you describe Steve's album?
How would I describe it? Oh, well, mono. But no, 22 songs, a lot of fucking songs.
Yep.
25.
Recorded 25.
Yep.
Recorded in one night.
Yep.
Bang, schmacko.
It's got a definite vibe. It's got a
Yeah,
feel.
yeah.
It's got a
So
thing.
it's got a thing that was kind of like a journey, and then Steve did his selection of the journey. You know, sort of culled a few.
Yep.
And but there's some good stuff because I was into sort of capturing some contemporary contemporary blues done in a traditional
With
method.
respect, for the traditional.
Yeah, or traditional style, if you like, but certainly with the 20th century.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things why I chose Rob too, was that I wanted it raw. I mean, I consider this album very
21st
raw.
century.
It's very, it's a very raw sound, which I like. It's very loud, which
Yeah.
I wanted,
Yep.
but it's very raw. And what I wanted was a raw sound, but
Produced well.
really good sound.
Yep.
You know, I mean, when I was thinking about
Quality dirt.
doing, like,
Yeah.
you know, really good sound, but raw, you know,
Yep.
and I reckon Rob did that.
So the raw thing, because your guitar sound is very raw. I
It's
can
roaring.
testify as to. I can personally testify as to that. That's not necessarily a very fashionable thing. I mean,
No,
you're not someone that just. I mean, just look at your pants. You're not someone that really subscribes to fashion. I would suspect
No.
that
When
you
was the last time you
subscribe
were in Paris?
more to style than you do to
Is that
fashion.
Style Council? When was the last
I
time you
don't
were in
believe in
Paris?
fa-
I haven't been. I've not
There
been.
you go.
I don't
So
really,
that-
I don't really
please.
believe in fashion, whether it's music or other things. I mean, I've
Yeah,
always
of course.
worn colourful clothes, so since the '60s. So you know, Brian Jones, Hendrix, and those sort of musicians were a big influence on me.
For fashion.
Yeah, like because I liked what it looked like, you
Yep.
know. And Pete Townsend, I made a Union Jack suit one, you know.
Yep.
But I don't really believe in fashion. But I was a kid, you know. So I mean, it was sort of like, I suppose when you're younger, it's you are whether you like it or not, you know.
So
But-
back to the guitar
Yeah,
sound. 'cause
but the
I'm
thing is that, you know, I don't use any pedals, so I'm one
Yeah.
of the few people.
But the raw, the whole thing with raw, like you go for raw.
Yeah.
Is that because you see is raw more honest to you? Is that something
It's
that just suits the songs or suits your playing? Or
Yeah,
all of
well, I mean, you know, a song can be mellow and still be raw, or it can be
I'd say it
raw
suits
and
his
on
style.
12 string. You know, I mean, it's just. I like things sort of very basic, you know, but raw. I like them real, you know. I don't want too much sort of technical stuff thrown in there unnecessarily.
Yep.
Like I was very happy with the sound that Rob got on the 12, the 12 string. Yes, we already talked about that. But I thought the SG on the new album sounds really good, and it's not a sound that I've used before, you know. But
That
I
was
let
the deluxe. What was that?
the SG and the Vox and
A Vox, was it?
yeah, the Vox and
AC30.
yeah,
Or the
AC30
Yeah.
in the hallway. there.
Yeah.
I think it was mine. I think I bought mine. I can't remember. I think I bought mine.
If it was yours, it was a 15.
Oh, 15 then.
Yeah. If it was
15.
yours, it might have been 30. I don't know. What
It
No,
was
no,
the
it's,
30.
it's
exactly
mine.
what
I
you
think, no, it's the 15.
Rob's got things tucked everywhere.
But you see, I just turn everything on full.
Yes, you do.
I mean, I just turn everything up full
Yes, you do.
because I have the advantage and the thing of having such a beautiful guitar that I can play around with the pickups on the SG. You know, I can use both pickups, or I can use. I tend to use the bass pickup more, but I go to the middle pickup quite a lot more these days.
You get quite a range of sound from that one guitar. I mean, considering it's just a regular guitar with 2 pickups, but it is an amazing
very
guitar.
basic guitar. Yeah, that's a beautiful guitar. You know, but the thing is, you know, you can play a song quite low with the guitar and you get a really nice mellow sound. Probably, I guess people would say more jazzy or something. You know, but you know, when you're not playing, when it's not turned up full and you've got that sort of crunchy sort of sound, you can do songs that are quite, you know, quite sort of
Delicate.
Delicate, yeah, that's a good word, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I like about the guitar. It gives me that freedom to get a lot of different
It's
sounds.
a wide range of stuff.
And, you know, I can
out of that.
do that when I play solo too. Some songs can be full on raw, and some songs can be more... Because I don't always use the 12 string when I play live in Paris, because I don't always travel with it for various reasons, you know. I prefer to play with the 12 and the SG, so I've got a bit of versatility, you know, and the sound, you know. So some songs... I can play every song on the SG, but I can't play every song on the 12.
Yep.
Because some songs are not... it's not going to work, you know. So the SG gives me the freedom I can play every song, you know, on there. So I mean, I mainly use the SG these days. You know, touring, it's just more convenient, and you know,
It's very portable.
it's just such a beautiful guitar, you know.
It is an
you know, I
amazing
mean,
and very beautiful guitar.
Yeah, it's just beautiful, and it keeps getting better and better, and same as the 12. You know, I thought that, you know, I mean, I was just knocked out with the sound that Rob got on the 12. I thought it was an incredible sound, you know.
As far as the mixing and mastering goes, Rob, tell me about that process.
Well, it was in 2 separate processes.
And I was here.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, I
Steve
bet
was
you
here
were.
too, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like just in a way trying to recreate and maybe even exaggerate the certain vibes that we got on the tracking.
That's true, yeah.
You know, so we sort of had fun when we were tracking, and we captured energy, and then when we were mixing it was kind of like trying to get back, which wasn't hard, to get back in the same vibe again.
You know, I look at it when I record with someone, like I say about the engineer, is I have to give that engineer freedom when it gets to the technical thing of mixing and stuff, because I haven't got a clue.
Yep.
I only know what I hear.
Yep.
So, you know, if you're going to work with someone, you've got to give that person the respect and the freedom to experiment with the sounds, which Rob did, you know.
So you're happy for the process and
I
the
can't think of-
collaboration to influence the sound of
I can't actually think of anything that we disagreed on or anything that I heard that I didn't like, to be
No,
quite
there
honest.
wasn't-
I
there was
don't
not
remember
much of
ever
that
having
stuff going on.
having a negative thing about anything. It
Is the
was,
final mix, Rob, a long way from where you start? So when you begin recording, and you'll have a sound. You'll be in the control room. Steve's in the main recording room in there.
You are taking into consideration that, or I am, that it is the final product. So we got no fucking tambourines coming in or girls coming in the chorus or anything like that. So,
And-
you know, we sort of want it to keep the interest, interest
And
going,
also,
and
you
keep
know-
and make it big.
yeah, big.
Big.
Got to be big sound even
So it's a single artist, but fuck, it's a big record, big sound.
Yeah, right.
That's
And-
very important.
Yeah,
For me, that's very
So it sounds
important.
like a band. Or you can make a solo artist sound like a band.
Well, I reckon it does. There's certain parts that does sound almost like there's a band there to me.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've got plans to record with the band, you know, one day, the next album maybe with the band, you know.
That would be tremendous.
Because, you know, you guys are
Yeah.
great. You know, I've got great musicians here, you know, so, you know, and we'd do it here as well. So, but I have to get this out of the way first and get work, really, so. But, you know, that's watching Rob work, and
Be fun with a
you know,
band.
the thing is, you know, you know,
Handsy's down.
I'm always-
You're both down. I'm telling you.
I'm always,
Yeah, it'd be good fun.
I'm
We'd have
always
Dynamite sound.
there at the mix and the mastering,
Yes.
because it's a very important.
always
they're very
Very
important,
important to you. Yeah.
You know,
processes
the
to get to the
engineers-
end. You know, because every time you work on the songs, they go up And then for
Things
me,
change.
it's the mastering where you really get to the level. Because I know a lot of local bands don't master, or they
do.
use people that don't know what they're doing, or something. For me, the mastering is really critical.
Yep.
You know, and you can hear and you can the process of the change.
For folks that might not understand all of the steps involved, can you just explain quickly about the process of mastering? Or sorry, maybe that's a loaded question.
Well, the process of mastering.
I mean, what are you trying to achieve when you say you're going to master the record?
Mastering does quite a few different things. One is the final technical result that you end up with technically to manufacture your product. So there's all of that, but it's also a level of making the product sound better artistically. It can be technically, it can be artistically, whatever. But mastering is just like another level that you can take it. So you take it to another level.
Sort of enhances
So in real
the whole
terms,
thing.
It's another level.
You're maybe adding some tube compression to enhance the bottom end, or
well, this was good. We went on to the half-inch tape machine for mastering.
Wow.
Whenever I master,
That's how he did it.
I usually master through the tape machine. Went through the Hendrix compressor.
very old school.
Mono Fairchild compressor, 1960s. Came out of Kingsway Studios. It was bought by the guy from Deep Purple.
But you know, it was interesting being here in that process because I could see what Rob was doing, and I could hear the difference in the sound in the process. You know, it was very interesting for me. It was one of the most interesting mixing sessions I've ever had.
Do you subscribe to the view, Rob? And I've heard some engineers say this, that mastering really begins when you start miking up. And that when you're making your placement and everything that you do, all the little things.
Mixing maybe, not mastering. Mixing maybe, not mastering.
Yeah, I would have said mixing too.
So your view is that the two are completely separate entities?
The recording and the mastering.
Mixing and mastering.
Mixing and mastering are similar.
Yeah.
But recording and mixing, you can't jump that middle one. You'd have to go that and that is the same, or that and that are leading on. You know, there's that lead on.
I think that's true.
Yep.
Yeah.
And have you completed that process for this record? Or is it still ongoing?
Yeah, no, it's finished. Yes, for
with
the
mastering, there's just things that maybe can sneak through. You fix them up when you're mixing, but like maybe because it was all live and it was, you know, we're going off and recording, and so there's lots of pops and stuff.
Yep.
And so you're grabbing a few pops. Maybe one or two might just come sneak through or something.
There's a couple of things on the recording
there's
where
all the technical. To
remember that
sort of
thing
level.
in the song. I think it was where I was hitting the guitar, the Blind Lambert Jefferson song, where the harmonics just freak out completely. And Rob asked me, because he said he could get rid of them, but I left them in there because I actually thought it added something to the song, you know, because it was a very spontaneous. Remember when that happened? There was the harmonics or something that I did, and it just exploded, and it was all this sort of weird noise. It's only for about 10 seconds, but I kept it in there because I thought it added to the. I thought it added to the moment in the song, you know, because the song was sort of building in intensity, and it just happened at a time when it went to the next level. Remember that sort of high-pitched thing?
Oh, I know what that was. That was.
What was that?
No, that was me. That was we had the whole room. The room was throbbing.
That's right.
It was fucking throbbing. It was throbbing there. It was throbbing in here because I had the volume cranked up in here.
I bet you did.
I had the volume cranked, and it was like boom, boom, boom. The whole room was throbbing like a fucking nightclub or something.
It was an African rhythm thing with
And
my hand, you know?
the mic in the hallway, I got the room reverb.
That's
the mic
right,
picked up, and it just fed back from here, from the control.
And you're going to use
that's what it was.
Yeah,
it's on the album.
Yeah, it's on there.
No, I left it on there
Fantastic.
because Rob asked me, because he said when we were when we were mixing, and that, and I think it was when we were mixing.
Yeah.
And I said, no, leave it, because I liked it. I thought it was good, you know. I mean, Rob said he could get rid of it, but I thought it... I think things like that just add a little bit of dimension to the song or the music that is such a spontaneous moment, or 10 seconds or whatever it was. You know, I just think it's better. Prefer to leave it. I don't want to sort of edit
It was
things
the way
like
it
that,
was.
edit things out, because it was a moment that we remembered quite well. Both of us remembered the moment,
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
because it was, you know, it just sort of happened, you know, and then stopped.
Yep.
But I just thought at the moment of the song, it was such perfect timing for where it went after that happened.
Yep.
You know, so I left it in there. I'm glad I did. Yeah.
Are you happy with the record?
I'm very happy with the record. Yeah, I'm 100% satisfied, and really, I think Rob's contribution was quite staggering. Really.
I know a lot of.
You know,
had fun.
I knew Rob. I knew Rob is good, and I know that. But I thought his contribution to this project is absolutely vital. You know, and because it's just me and Rob, really. You know, I mean, well, it is me and Rob.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I know other musicians with creative output who subscribe to the notion that what they've just done is always their best work. Do you subscribe to that?
well, yeah, I don't think
You have to a degree.
I don't really
I
think
agree with
I don't,
you,
I
because
don't,
if you don't,
I don't,
if you're not putting stuff out and going, that's my best work, then you probably should
I don't,
stay at home. I don't know.
yeah,
What-
I don't really like the use of the word best and
Yeah,
worst and all
yeah.
that. My thing is that I look to
Not
do
everyone's
an
full of shit
album
like
that
you,
is
mate.
the most interesting music that I can record and release at that time in my life. You know, so for me, I would put this album up with all my other albums
Yep.
easily. As far as I'd say, well, I've always been satisfied with my albums. I don't release any albums and I'm not satisfied
course,
with.
yep.
The last time that happened was 1979 when I sort of left it with somebody.
Just that one time.
When I left it, well, that taught me a lesson. That taught me a lesson to always be there at the mix, and not.
Did you get shafted? No guitar in the mix?
Well, it wasn't that. They did a good
Okay.
job, but it was more free. It turned out I did it live, and then I re-recorded the vocals, and they wiped out the original vocals. I still reckon the live vocals
Stereo.
were better, right?
Fucking stereo.
And it was the thing is
It's a
that
conspiracy.
the people that doing the mix were much more conservative than me, but
Yeah.
I let them go because of the technical thing,
Yeah.
and I was in
Yeah.
London anyway, so it was a complex situation. The mix was shit, you know, really, and the band was really cooking. The band was a really raw live band. Ron Parker, Bob Patient, John Hood, and Colin Atkins. The opposition, you know, when I did this album called On the Floor. I've got some live tapes of this band that are just incredible. Better than the album, in my opinion.
Yep.
But, you know, I got sucked into putting horns on and all this shit, and then redoing my vocals. And, you know, which
Does it
is
sound like Fruit at the end?
Well, no, they still sound good, but, you know, if I was to redo, I still got the masters. If I was to redo it, I'd get rid of most of the horns. I just wish
Frank and Tallis.
I just wish I had the
New album.
I wish I had the
Picture of
original
him
vocal,
like Frankenstein
you
all
see,
chopped up.
because I know that I sang better on the original tape because it was a
Frank and
live
Tallis.
band, you know. So after that happened, I record live,
Yeah.
one take basically, and also I'm always there at the mix and the mastering
Yeah.
because, you know, for me it's critical. You know, I have a clear thing. I don't understand the technical thing, but I got ears, and I have a clear.
He was trying to hypnotise me.
I have a clear vision of
I think he did.
what I want my music to sound like. You know?
I think
Yeah.
So
I was
I mean,
under-
I
I was under a spell.
I'd say this album
voodoo spell.
really came out even better than my expectations. I reckon there's something about it that I like. My daughter really likes it, which is good. Just my kids are.
It's a good sign.
Yeah,
Oh, my kids are big
you gotta believe
critics,
your
you know.
kids,
So
don't
they'll be
you?
honest, you know. So,
That's right.
Jake's brutal.
but I think
No,
it's,
yeah,
but it's
that's
also
right.
I think
There you
solo is
go.
very personal sort of thing, you know. It's
Sure.
you know, and a lot of this, you know, it's a mixture of songs, love songs and
Well,
death
to-
and
if-
you don't
political
want to embarrass
songs.
your
You know.
kids.
No.
You
nobody-
don't want to
Your kids
embarrass
don't
your
like that, I can
kids.
assure you. If you had to sum the album up in one word, Steve, what would it be?
Well, if I had to, I'd say
That's many
raw.
words. Raw, okay.
But not just from a sound perspective, raw from a emotional aspect, from a personal aspect. You know, not just the sound. You know, because that's one thing about playing solo. You got nothing else.
There's nowhere to hide.
There's nowhere to hide, mate. I like that. You know, I like the fact that it's so you're just there. You know, you got no.
Pretty naked.
But I like that when I play. I like that freedom. And recording, I felt the same. You know, I had a lot of. You know, I felt completely free when I was recording. You know, a lot of the songs turned out different than what I expected. Like I said, I did a couple of songs I'd only really played once, maybe in the lounge room 2 nights before, and they ended up being on the album because I liked them. I liked what happened, you know, and it suited the. You know, the album sort of alternates between electric, 12-string a cappella, electric 12-string, it's broken down so that there's quite a lot of different sounds, and there's no two songs in the same key, for example, and things like that, little things like that. Tried to balance out the ballads with some of the more intense sort of stuff,
Yep.
But, I'm really happy with it.
I'm really looking forward to hearing it. So thank you very much for talking with us, Steve Tallis.
Thank you very much, Phil Bradley, Aaron Devonish.
Mr. Rob Grant.
Rob
Here we are
Grant.
at Poons Head,
Have at it
Fremantle,
again for Rob.
Western Australia.
Yes.
Steve's new
Highly
album.
recommended.
Steve's new album, Where Many Rivers Meet, will be out
As
at
soon as
stores
possible.
very soon. It'll be zooming
Many
up the charts.
songs in mono.
Many, all in mono, as a matter of fact. Thanks very much, Steve. Thank you very much, Aaron, behind
Thank
the
you very
camera,
much, Aaron.
running production.
Aaron celebrating his birthday here at Poons Head.
It's not his birthday. Thanks very much, Steve. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you, Phil.
See yous.